little orangey, just chilling around. So, I wanted to make a little video this morning for YouTube. I'm sure this doesn't apply to most people, but the cost of rent in Ontario, Canada is ridiculous. I've brought it up to the minister's office many a times. Uh, try to make complaints about it all the time. Uh, Food prices are getting absolutely ridiculous. It's getting very, very hard for people on disability to feed themselves. So, and especially people in my situation where I'm paying over what they say I should be paying for rent. Uh, I think they say I should get $531 to pay for rent, which is ridiculous considering rooms in other people's house are going for like 750. Um, it just seems ridiculous that we can live in a society where this sort of thing can happen month to month, where people are literally forced to choose between, do I buy a new pair of pants? Will this pair of pants last another few months? Because I'm already starving when it comes to being able to afford groceries. So it's just ridiculous. I'm living off of $371 a month. I have a phone bill. I have cats. Uh, I was prior in a better financial spot than this, but now I'm not. Now I'm in a place that I can't really afford. Had to get a roommate, and they get way less than I do. So I took on the lion's share responsibility for the rent, uh, to make sure that we both had a chance to starve, And it just doesn't make sense. Like $371 after internets, after cats, after food, there's nothing left. And I still end up going hungry. And like I'm told by disability to use food banks. I'm sorry, but the food banks should not be for people on disability. That's not what they're there for. They're there to help people who are in actual need. We are supposed to be already helped. And if disability keeps wanting to refer to me as a number, which I'll call in and they'll go, what's your disability number? That's completely discrimination. I am not a number. I'm a human being. I have a name. You can ask for my name. You can look it up, and you can find that number all for yourself. But yeah, as of late, the disability office in Sudbury has stopped asking people their name, and has started wanting the number, and that just really irks me in the brain. So, and here's my biggest problem with the workers of the program. I can't get them to make a complaint to the minister's office like I'm complaining to you here on YouTube about the food situation, about the rent situation, because they're too afraid to lose their job. They can literally walk out, strike, and get more money, which they did a few years ago, but they can't write a letter stating that their clients are very unhappy, uh, not able to eat properly, clothe themselves, buy toiletries, make sure their house is clean, make sure their laundry is done, make sure they can go live a life. That's You're too afraid you're going to lose your job for that. There's a serious issue. There's also a serious issue with social services in general, being that a lot of it is run by females. No offense, women. I'm not trying to say you guys aren't awesome. What I'm trying to say is equal representation would be nice. You guys know how it is to fight for equal representation, and now there's places where there's no representation for men. Like, come on. CAS, they should be sending male and female workers both to deal with situations just to make sure there's no sexist undertones involved or foul play by one or the other. There should be adequate representation. So, and it's just common sense. Like, you want things to run smoothly. You want men and women to be equals. We need to start working hand in hand here. We need to start, making sure that no one thing is run on a bias. I see men's rights advocates on YouTube now I see women's rights advocates, and I see the advocates that are absolutely crazy. Like, I'm sorry, when it comes down to gender, I will identify you off of visual cues. If I get the visual cue wrong, don't be offended. And if my visual cue tells me that you're a man, even though you look like a female, and I can honestly tell by visual cues, I'm still going to call you a man. You can change the outside as much as you want. That's in society before this gender crisis. That's called a forgery. Now, I'm no brain scientist, but you can be female brain all you want. You were still born with a male body? Too bad, you're a man. If you want me to refer to you as a woman, I will, but don't hide the fact of your original gender because that's probably where the issue lies. It's not that we don't care about you or we don't want to respect you or anything like that. It's that, the original piece of information is still very valid to some of us. And we'd probably be more willing to be like, oh, I'm so and so, but I was born this, but I'm now this. Please respect that. No problem. You're being upfront and honest. You're not trying to pass yourself off as something you're not. And it's not that you're not, it's that people have different feelings and emotions and respects to that. So be any gender you want. Just don't be offended when I misidentify you because I'm not up to the current lingo. Just clearly state in a nice, calm, happy manner, and it should be fine. Like, you guys are starting battles you don't need to start over things you don't need to start it over. If someone is rude to you and you show them kindness, it's either going to topple them over because they're going to be like, holy shit, this person really does care. Maybe I was being a brute and I went about this wrong. Because if you come at them with sarcasm, cynicism, and all of that crap, it's basically just going to, yeah, you're basically creating your own enemy at that point. So, society in a whole, really, guys, calm down, please. And somebody fix disability because Doug Ford and the disability minister and all those guys that I complain to really, they don't give a shit whether I can eat. And that leads to times like now where family is literally keeping me fed. And that's not going to last forever. That's literally tapping someone who doesn't have the money in the first place to help me because my government has completely failed me. Doug Ford's office, Doug Ford, complete failures. The disability minister, my, I guess you call it worker, are all complete failures because not one of them has done anything to fix the program. Now, rent needs to be addressed. They haven't kept up with inflation. They haven't kept up with rent costs, electricity, any of that. It's now getting to the point where you can't rent bachelor apartments because they're all rented and nobody's stupid enough to give them up under the circumstances of them going from 1100 to 1400. So, they don't exist. One bedrooms are like $1,200, $1,300, and some of them want hydro and this and that, and the other thing. And literally 537 or whatever you guys give for rent on a DSP is a crying shame. Uh, I really can't stand how disability is doing all of this. I really can't stand how the Ford government is doing all of this, and I don't understand how they get away with it. Now, there are a lot of people on disability and welfare who have become homeless. There's a lot of people that have had many issues, including drugs and alcohol, get much worse over the recent years. And there's no help. You get no on disability. There's no coverage for seeing a shrink and talking to a shrink and working through your problems. but they'll throw drugs at you left, right, and center. They'll pay for your drugs under health plans and stuff like that. And part of what is missing in culture today is the shrink you can go sit down and talk to, because they went from, affordable at 20 some dollars an hour to inexpensive at like $280 an hour. Now, I didn't know I was talking to astronauts, because that's the only people that I would ever pay $280 an hour. I think anybody else asking for that is outrageous. Maybe Johnny Cochran or some fancy lawyers can ask for that much per hour, but screw $10 childcare. I'd rather see, you know, even $30 psychiatry, to be honest. Because then maybe parents could be in the right mind to take care of their own children. Maybe they'd be in the right mind to know that they deserve a guaranteed income, and that the universal income program should be put into place immediately, because it wouldn't solve all the problems in the world, but it definitely would solve a lot of what's going on now with everyone getting screwed. So, and if you really want to get it over on landlords, how best to screw them by giving us a universal income and making them pay for it. Because right now, their high rents and what they're doing to society is causing the problem. They might as well be responsible for fixing it. So, and if you want to fix the rent situation altogether, I suggest these three simple steps. Landlords can own no more than three individual homes before they are forced to buy like apartment buildings. Um, Housing corporations should not be allowed to exist. They're buying up massive amounts of properties that they cannot provide landlord services for, and do not provide landlord services for. I had rats running through my apartment with Ontario Limited 1060100900, whatever, which is just a criminal enterprise run by the Hells Angels or some other criminal organization. So, uh, and the last and final step is to make sure that there is a line that you don't cross. Because the landlords are just pushing rent higher and higher and higher to serve their own greedy needs. I'm not saying every landlord is like that. There are landlords out there that are basically not making a dime off their properties because they'd rather make sure that families have a place to live. So I know not a lot of landlords will ever watch this video or make it to the end, because this is where I'm going to give the shout out to any landlord who's either not making very much or taking a financial hit just to make sure someone has a place to live here in Ontario. You're a hero. You know, to any family member out there who's helping out someone on disability with food, you're the hero. To anybody out there who walked by someone hungry and homeless on the street and went and bought them a sandwich so they could eat, you're a hero. As for all the politicians, you're the absolute definition of Lucifer himself. Let's just hope nobody has to be a devil to stop you. But I'm definitely going to be a demon spouting shit about the Doug Ford government, the Ontario Disability Support Program, and the CAS, or Child Family Services, or all of that. You guys are the worst. You don't know how to do your jobs, obviously. You don't know how to fix anything, obviously. You're a waste of human space, obviously. And I really wish you'd start doing your jobs. Because the disability minister doesn't do his job and my workers don't do the job, I get to go hungry and my sister has to spend money feeding me. To Doug Ford, You've created a housing crisis. You've let our world basically eat its own tail. And it's not funny. This is not Loki. We don't want to eat our own tail. We want places to live. Oh, my eye's getting bad. That's what happens when you're up for multiple days on end trying to figure out how to fix your life, and you have a lazy eye. It just starts doing whatever it wants. Like this eye, they don't line up. They don't line up. They probably won't ever line up. This will probably be really disturbing to some people. But yeah, so landlords, heroes, politicians, devils, me, a demon. My name, Beelzebub. Why I'm here? To roast you. Where? Online. Why? Because I can. When? Anytime. Where? Everywhere. Why? Because it's online. Who? Beelzebub. Yeah. Okay. Bye.